Okay, here's a little backstory. When I was playing Spider-Man on stream, I made this joke. Dude, Pokimane is my girlfriend. Why are you guys talking shit, bro? I'm legitimately marrying Pokimane. Then a few days later, I got sent this video basically where I take Pokimane to prom and Tommy Innit steals her from me. So I posted that on Instagram, and then somebody comments, I'm gonna make an ECLIPPZ and Pokimane fanfic on Wattpad, and this is the fanfiction. Enjoy. ECLIPPZ was sitting in his basement rethinking his whole life. It had been pretty depressing lately. All he would do is sit in his basement and shit his pants. He had a yeasty ass infection, but didn't really care. A thought was always on his mind, a specific one. Who the f is Joe? He decided to get up and actually wipe his ass instead of shitting in his Pampers all day. Okay, how this know I wear fucking Pampers? He walked to the bathroom and was about to take off his diaper when Jacob Sartorius, I call him Jacob Saggy Titties. I'm just gonna call him Jacob Saggy Titties. Jacob Saggy Titties appeared in the mirror. What the hell? I thought to myself. I saw a vision of Jacob Saggy Titties with Pokimane. I was jealous. Jacob Saggy Titties stole Pokimane from him. Suddenly Jake Paul Suddenly Jake Paul emerged from the wall and yelled, I have a yeast infection, then suddenly disappeared. ECLIPPZ was scared. Was his house haunted? He could use this to his advantage and make some content, hoping that Pokimane would notice him. He decided not to change his diaper because he liked the smell, the taste. Still shaken up, he walked out of the bathroom and back to his bed. He then sat on an alarm for 3 a.m. He then woke up at 3 a.m. and got his camera rolling. Pokimane will think I'm badass after this. Suddenly he says, hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be summoning Jake Paul. What the fuck? Yo! He then turned the camera to face the bathroom. He screeched loudly while he arose his arms. He suddenly yelled, the fall of Jake Paul! And then ECLIPPZ saw a vision of a ghost in his mind. The vision looked like this. Imagine, Jacob asks you out and when you go to the restaurant you see him like this. Dude, I would fucking... He was confused because he wasn't seeing Jake Paul. Suddenly, ECLIPPZ saw another vision. It looked like this. Jacob pushes you up against the kitchen table and kisses you. Again, I'll probably not. He was so petrified that he peed his pants. Suddenly, Jacob Saggy Titties appeared out of the wall and had a computer in his hand. On the computer screen, there was furry porn. Suddenly, the camera cut out and Jacob Saggy Titties disappeared. ECLIPPZ thought to himself, finally, I can use my haunted house content to make content. Maybe Pokimane will notice me. Then he titled the video, Summoning Jacob Saggy Titties at 3 a.m. Scary Cops Called. That should be good, he thought to himself. Then, he hopped into bed and went to sleep. Morning. He woke up to his video having one view. Damn it, he thought, as he looked up penis pictures on the internet. Sighed as he logged in to watch his daily furry porn. He hadn't watched furry porn since last night, and which was a big accomplishment for him. He didn't know what to do, so he bit his pillow and pretended to eat gorilla pussy. After he finished eating imaginary gorilla pussy, he then decided to drive to the cafe, remembering how much Pokimane loved going there. When he arrived, he stared into the worker's eyes deeply. He then realized the worker was Pokimane. Oh shit! He stuttered and said, I'll take, yes, said Pokimane. Is there an airport nearby? Said ECLIPPZ with a panicked voice. Sorry, sir, but this is a cafe. He then suddenly replied with, or is that just my heart taking off? I would never say that. Dude, I don't even like coffee. Why am I at a cafe? I like G Fuel. Sponsor me. Pokimane then ran and jumped onto ECLIPPZ to hug him. He tried to hug her back, but ended up falling on his ass. It was a very awkward moment. And to break the silence, he said, Poki, do you watch gorilla pussy porn? Then he realized what he said and began to worry about her response. Poki then said, no, I watch gorilla ass porn. ECLIPPZ and Pokimane then screeched together in harmony. It was a beautiful moment. Suddenly, Pokimane grabbed ECLIPPZ and said, let's go, follow me. She then grabbed his arm while poop was leaking out of his ass. Where are we going, ass ECLIPPZ? You'll see, said Pokimane as she yanked him out the cafe door while more liquid was falling out of his ass that had come out earlier was evaporating. Pokimane led ECLIPPZ to the actual airport as opposed to the fake airport, motherfucker. Where are we going? Said ECLIPPZ nervously. He had to shit really bad, but he wasn't potty trained. He needed a diaper immediately, but was too embarrassed to say anything. We're gonna run away together and get married at the beach, said Pokimane. That's awesome, said ECLIPPZ. He was stuttering because he could feel the hot liquid pouring out of his ass. Suddenly, shit exploded out of his ass. The shit was so strong, it sent him into oblivion. As he was higher and higher, because the air and shit mixture coming out of his ass was so powerful, his first instinct was to grab Pokimane, who scooped her up and they both shot through the airport ceiling and flew all the way to Clearwater Beach, Florida. Yo, Florida's ass. No disrespect to Floridans, but I don't like your state. It's kind of cringe. Fat fuck. Dude, I didn't know they made a plush of me. That's pretty poggers, bro. They landed on a beach with a hard thud. There was no one on the beach to be seen. It was just ECLIPPZ and Pokimane together on the beach. Pokimane looked into ECLIPPZ's eyes, and just as she was about to kiss him, he saw a vision. Shit, he whispered under his breath. Pokimane pulled away. Is it something wrong? She asked with a concerned look. Suddenly, Jacob's saggy titties flew from the sky and landed on his ass. ECLIPPZ started to run into the ocean, but Jacob's saggy titties punched him and causing him to fall. He began to punch back when suddenly Jacob pulled up with gorilla pussy furry porn on his computer. No. How did he know this was my weakness? Asked ECLIPPZ angrily. Oh, Jacob knows all, said Jacob with a smirk on his face. Come on, Pokey, let's ditch this loser, said Jacob. Pokimane didn't know what to do, so she said, can you boys just get along? I mean, you both watch Alvin and the Chipmunks porn. Suddenly, Jacob started screaming loudly. Jacob suddenly yelled, that was a you and me secret, Pokey. Why would you tell it to this asshole? He suddenly got up and began to grind. Timestamp 11 seconds cringe warning. Dude, he got a boner, kinda cringe. Haha, yo, exposed, motherfucker. Pokimane then said, Jacob, the old me used to like when you did that. The new me loves ECLIPPZ. Then suddenly, Jacob's saggy titties took a fat shit on the sun, and he slowly evaporated into the air. Wow, said ECLIPPZ in disbelief. No one's ever loved me that much, said ECLIPPZ. Well, I do, said Pokimane with a smile. Let's go get dinner. She then snapped this photo of them together. Okay, can we go now? She said this as she took off, running to McDonald's, which they are going to get dinner. Coughing some chicken nuggets, dude. When they arrived, Pokimane had to use the restroom. I'll be right back, ECLIPPZ. I have to use the restroom. Just order me anything. Then she dashed into the restroom. What should I get her? Thought ECLIPPZ in his head. He suddenly turned and saw Jake Paul at the doorway. Jake Paul was one of Pokimane's exes. Is this a fucking Scott Pilgrim ripoff? Jake stood at the doorway looking at ECLIPPZ with the fattest stink eye. That's my girl! Yelled Jake Paul so loudly that the whole McDonald's shook, causing ECLIPPZ to piss his pants. Suddenly, Shane Dawson ran into McDonald's and killed Jake Paul. Everyone stood in shock as Shane Dawson ran out the door carrying his dead body. He threw it in a trash can on the curb and drove away. Pokimane then walked out of the bathroom with a smile. She didn't know what happened, so she wasn't as shook up as ECLIPPZ was. ECLIPPZ then said, Pokey, we have to leave this McDonald's now! Why? We haven't gotten food yet. The door of McDonald's opened, causing Pokimane to stop mid-sentence. I'm back, all you hoes. I'm the biggest pimp you ever see. Everyone was confused on who the random redheaded short dude was that was standing at the doorway. ECLIPPZ then watched Pokimane's smile turn into a serious face. Then ECLIPPZ realized it was Carl Weezer, another one of Pokimane's exes. ECLIPPZ couldn't keep up with all the exes Pokimane had. It was giving him a headache. Carl Weezer then said, come on, Pokey, let's get out of here. Pokimane then yelled, no! And Carl Weezer took a fat shit on the floor and evaporated just like Jacob's saggy titties did. Whoa, Pokey, you have powers or something? Said ECLIPPZ with a shocked expression. Yes, I have the power of gorilla pussy on my side. Now let's get to our hotel before my creepy exes come back. Pokimane checked herself and ECLIPPZ into a hotel room that overlooked the beach, which is where they were getting married. As Pokimane sat down on the bed, ECLIPPZ sat down on the chair in front of the computer. He'd gone such a long time without furry porn that was making him want to cry. He knew that he had to control himself, so he resisted from searching it up. Pokimane then said, I'm going to go get some snacks from the gift shop. Do you want anything? I want to have sex with James Charles. I'll take a chocolate bar. He was worried because he accidentally said he was thinking. Okay, I'll be right back, said Pokimane as she walked out of the door and closed it. Phew! ECLIPPZ said as he realized she didn't hear what she said. What? His urges to watch Alvin and the Chipmunks porn were high, but knew that he would be unfaithful to his fiancée. At this point, he didn't care. As soon as he turned on the computer, Pokimane walked in. "Hi, Eclipse," she said with bags in her hand. "Hi," Eclipse said nervously. He was scared because he had almost gotten caught. Suddenly, he felt a hot shit flowing down his asshole. He dashed to the restroom, but it was too late. The fire alarm of the hotel began to ring and screams were heard from the hallway. Everyone began to evacuate the building. "Come on, Poki, let's go." Pokimane was passed out because of the rancid smell. Eclipse carried her down the stairs out the building. Everyone was standing outside, staring at the building in shock. The smell was so strong that the fumes were coming out of every opened window at the hotel. Pokimane gained consciousness and then said, "Come on, Eclipse, we have to find a new hotel." They then ran down the street to the casino hotel and booked a room. They both hopped in the elevator. When they arrived to the 19th floor, a naked Peter Griffin was outside the door. He looked like this. He looked like Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. Pokimane opened the door and Eclipse followed her inside the hotel room. What the f***? It was about 10 p.m. and they decided to go to bed. Pokimane hopped in the bed and Eclipse hopped beside her. He was very nervous though. He always shits the bed and didn't want to shit liquid to get on the bed sheets. He tried not to worry that much though. His thoughts got interrupted by Pokimane saying, "I love you," and then he said, "I love you too," and then drifted off into a deep sleep.
Hey, you!
Me?
Yes, you! Are you a fat fucking retard who plays fucking video games, you fat piece of shit? Ugly fat motherfucker, go take a fucking shower, you ugly smelly pat piece of shit.
Yeah.
Do you want to get laid?
Yeah.
Well, here you go!
Whoa!
Go to the link in the description below to cop your own control merch. 100% guaranteed fucking getting laid, dude. Real pimps only. Only if you're not a real pimp, you can't wear the
It was the day of the wedding. Pokimane had left earlier that morning to go get ready. Since Pokimane was a famous Twitch streamer, there were going to be a ton of people at the wedding. The whole hotel was going to be attending it. Eclipse was nervous, so he did his morning shit in his diaper. Time skip a few hours later. Eclipse arrives at the beach where he was marrying Imane. He waited behind the curtains until the priest announced him to come to the altar. I'm Jewish. Loads of people had came. Toast was there. Michael was there, Lily was there, Scar was there, Yvonne was there. Suddenly the priest played music and it was time for Eclipse to walk down the aisle. He began walk slowly but tripped and fell on his ass. Thankfully, nobody laughed. When he arrived at the altar, he stood and waited until they played "Here Comes the Bride" song. Eclipse suddenly heard the music play as Pokimane walked down the aisle. She was so beautiful. She walked so gracefully and then stood on the other side of the wedding arch. Before Pokimane and Eclipse said their vows, Pokimane wanted a quick wedding photo. The photographer quickly snapped one and showed the photo he took. I don't actually have a crush on Pokimane. It's just a meme. If there's a streamer girl that I did have a crush on, it's Sweet Anita, bro. She's so fun. I'm not lying. F you. It was an amazing photo until they looked closer at the ocean. Pokimane's exes were coming up. Everyone stood in shock as Jacob's saggy titties arrived at the shore. Peter Griffin followed behind him. Behind Peter Griffin was Ed Sheeran. The three exes stood there and yelled in harmony. "That in the black and white suit shits himself and watches fiery porn." Eclipse then stood there in shock. How dare they? He thought to himself, just as Pokimane was about to use her executing powers. Eclipse stepped up and said, "Let me handle this," and then the battle began. Poki looked petrified. Eclipse suddenly yelled, "Let me sniff your ass." He knew that he couldn't confuse the exes, so he said that. Little did Eclipse know, Ed Sheeran low-key wanted him to. What the f***? Suddenly, Ed Sheeran yelled, "Please do! I haven't sniffed in years!" Ed Sheeran suddenly bent down and passed gas into Eclipse's face. Little does he know, I'm used to smelling farts, thought Eclipse. The way Ed Sheeran was bent over gave Eclipse room to attack. He suddenly kicked Ed Sheeran into oblivion. Everyone watched while gasping. Ed Sheeran did cartwheels through the sky. Then suddenly shot out of Ed Sheeran's ass and knocked Peter Griffin unconscious. This only left Jacob Saggy Titties and Eclipse in the ring. "Oh, Jacob, you gonna get it," said Eclipse under his breath. "What did you say to me, little shit?" Is he ninja or is he fucking Jacob Saggy Titties? Said Jacob as he punched Eclipse, causing him to fall to the ground. Suddenly, Eclipse stood and said, "I can do no more than thank you, little bitch." Then ECLIPPZ threw Jacob on the ground and shit. ECLIPPZ had done it. He had won against Pokimane X Jacob. The whole crowd cheered as ECLIPPZ threw Jacob Sartorius into the ocean. Pokimane ran up onto ECLIPPZ and hugged him. I love you, ECLIPPZ. Now, let's get back to getting married. Just as everyone got to their seats, Jacob's saggy titties arose from the ocean. He was a giant. He was holding 2 swords, one in each hand. You'll never beat me, ECLIPPZ. I'm better and stronger than you'll ever be. Jacob suddenly threw himself at ECLIPPZ. ECLIPPZ dodged the attack and then suddenly used his poop powers. Suddenly ECLIPPZ grew 8 times bigger. He raised his hands in the air and began to shoot out of his hands and into Jacob's face. No! Yelled Jacob as he pushed him back into the ocean. ECLIPPZ's powers were so strong that he shot Jacob into the oblivion, just like he had done previously with Ed Sheeran. Jacob screeched as he evaporated into thin air. ECLIPPZ shrunk back to his original size. Everyone cheered again. Yet again, everyone sat down. ECLIPPZ felt powerful. He had just won the love of his life. The priest then said, ECLIPPZ, do you take Poki to be a wife? I do, I said while smiling. Poki, do you take ECLIPPZ to be a husband? I do, said Pokimane while trying not to cry. You may now kiss the bride, said the priest. ECLIPPZ and Pokimane kissed, then walked down the aisle while holding hands and smiling. I peed my pants. There's a comment on this. Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck? And that's the story of how I met your dad, said ECLIPPZ to her twin girls. Suddenly, ECLIPPZ walked through the door. Honey, I'm home. Pokimane ran up to hug him. I missed you so much. I miss you too, Poki, said ECLIPPZ as he hugged her tightly. I miss you too as well, said ECLIPPZ as he hugged his daughters. Pokimane then said we should get family photos. Yes, we should. Let's hop in the car. ECLIPPZ and Pokimane put their daughters in the car seats and drove to the photo place. As soon as they got out of the car, ECLIPPZ said bye lol and then exploded and died. The end.